That has really surprised me. So that didn't quite end how I would have preferred it to. The quest continues. Filter. And by the best, I selfishly mean the best one for me and, just an everyday filter that I could use. What I'm looking for is a filter with slight enhancements. Nothing that is very obvious that when you're looking at the image, you instantly see there's an effect added to this image, but just something that has a little bit extra. When you look at it, you just notice something stands out. It just has a little sauce to make the image look that much nicer. But before we get into all the comparisons, just a quick run through for anyone who doesn't know what a diffusion filter is. Essentially, it's a piece of glass that goes in front of your lens to soften the image. There are loads of different variations of diffusion filters. Each of them have their own characteristics that give them their own individual look. So I've been comparing a bunch of them to try and find the best one that I like using, and hopefully you can get some value from this too. So the 4 filters that we'll be comparing today is the Moment Cine Bloom, Tiffin's Black Pro Mist, Tiffin's Black Satin filter, and Tiffin's Glimmerglass. So from my last 2 comparison videos that you can find up here, I noticed that all the shots were kind of the same. They all were that kind of studio setup, which isn't quite accurate for where everyone's gonna be using a filter. Especially myself, I'm not only shooting YouTube videos. So in today's video, I will be mixing it up and going outside just to have a point of difference so you can see the effect that the filters make in a different environment. I'll start each comparison without a filter so you can see that neutral look, but remember the things we're looking out for are the softening of the skin tones, the lift in contrast, the blooming of the highlights, and if there are any color shifts.
Welcome to paradise.
And just before I share the results of the studio test, as a massive thank you to you guys for helping me hit 2, I'm going to be doing a small giveaway. So I'm going to be giving away 2 Amazon gift cards. To win the first one, I'm going to be putting up an emoji somewhere in this video, and the first person to comment that emoji down below will win that first gift card. The second one, just comment down below your Instagram, and you can be in the running for an Amazon gift card. Let's get into the results. So I'll show you them blind just one more time before I do reveal. And here we have the results. So I personally was quite surprised when looking at these results, just from the similarities in some of them and the clear differences in others. But before I break down each filter in the different categories that we're looking at, let me show you one more example outside where I filmed it slightly differently. So that didn't quite end how I would have preferred it to, but I did manage to film with it before it smashed. You're welcome. So I'll show you them blind one more time. And here are the results. So what have we learned from this test? Well, 1, make sure you are taking your filters off very carefully. But more importantly, when looking at the results from it, you can see the Moment Cine Bloom washes out the image quite a lot. It cools it down a little bit, and going back to the first example, it really does make it obvious on the blooming of the highlights, and it almost has like a small flare, which just gave a look that I didn't really like. The contrast was completely washed out, and yeah, for me, it's not a very subtle look. If you're going for that obvious look, then hey, the Moment Cine Bloom is great and it really does the job. But for what I'm looking for and that kind of more cinematic feel, it's just a bit too obvious for me. So the Moment Cine Bloom, you're number 4. So of the last 3 filters, I quite struggled to see clear differences with those examples. So I decided just for you to record one more so we can see it very clearly. And now all together so you can see the differences and similarities at the same time. And here are the answers. So going back to the original categories that I was looking for, we have contrast, we have highlight blooming, and we have color shift. So starting with contrast in order of which keeps the most contrast, I'd say the Black Satin filter has number 1, keeping the most contrast, and then the Glimmerglass and Black Pro Mist can have a similar theme throughout going on. They are very, very similar. Maybe the Glimmerglass has slightly more than the Black Pro Mist, but they are very, very close. Then as you can see, the Moment Cine Bloom, yeah, that's just washing the contrast right out of the water. Next, we have the highlight blooming, in order who blooms the least. First, we have the black satin filter, which is the most controlled. It's still blooming, so you can see the effect, but it's nothing crazy. Next, again, the Glimmerglass, Black Promise, they are very, very similar. I personally, on this one, I actually can't see a difference between them. And then lastly, the Moment City Bloom, again, it's just out of control. It's just a bit out of control, so that again is last. And then the last and final category is the color shift. Now this is where it got quite interesting. As you can see, the two on the right are a tiny bit warmer. The light is just a little bit more orange and almost a little more saturated, whereas the one on the left aren't. They are much closer to the original. It's not enough where it's going to be super noticeable or ruin your image. Plus on skin tones, you really can't see that much. But the two on the right, the black satin filter and the Glimmerglass, do slightly warm up the image. So what's the conclusion? What is the end result? For me, it has to be the black satin filter. There's no question about it. That filter keeps the most contrast, has the most subtle skin softening and highlight blooming, but you can still see the effect. So you can get by using it without it being obvious that you are using an external filter. But hey, that is just my opinion on what fits my needs. You might have different needs, you might have different wants of what you want your filter to do. So go out and try them out. Personally, I would suggest going on Amazon if you have Amazon Prime, buying them. If you don't like them, you can return them in 30 days. That's no money out your pocket. Now you know what filter you want to use. But let me know what you think. What is it that you noticed from these tests that I may have not have said, or what is the filter that you prefer after seeing these results? So just to wrap things up, remember to comment down below to be in the running to winning that Amazon gift card. But if you have got a lesson, laugh, or a light bulb moment, I'd really appreciate if you drop a like down below. And if you're feeling nice enough, you could hit the subscribe button. But with that being said, I will catch you in the next one. See ya.